you're ready. I know Shane is out. We have a quorum right now. I haven't heard from Jackie, and I don't know about Josh either.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Someone like to lead us into the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Your roll call. Nicholas. Present. Summer's here. Amanda.
Present.
Jackie.
Present.
Jackie's not here. Okay, first up, line item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. A, September 23rd, 2024, Arts and Culture Committee meeting and minutes. Are there any changes?
I move that the approval is submitted.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
I need a second.
Aye. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Line item number 2, special presentations. Are there any special presentations?
No.
Line item number 3, all comments. No all comments. Line item number 4, old business. A, San Clemente Arts and Culture Commission, Culture, Mission, and Vision. Survey results. Staff recommends that the Arts and Culture Committee review the report submitted by the Mission and Vision Subcommittee concerning the San Clemente Arts and Culture Survey results. Do I have a motion to discuss that?
Okay, so you'll find in the agenda that Kathy, Becky, and I had a meeting last November to review the survey findings and then do a summary here of the outcomes that we got from that survey to the public. The report summarizes the strengths that were commented on in multiple places in the survey, as well as the opportunity areas.
Okay.
So maybe we just pause a minute in case you haven't had a chance to review it, and if you have any questions or ideas.
Oh, you guys did a great job. Anyone else have anything?
Kathy, do you want to elaborate on the opportunity areas or anything?
On the opportunity areas, you mean our other committee, or?
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe it would be worth just like verbalizing what we heard from the community, our areas that they're, would welcome us to keep in mind as we think about our agenda moving forward and as it relates to the work plan.
Well, I would say a lot of the people just mentioned Casa Romanica, and can they open the main salon, which has been done, and getting it completely reopened. But other than that, there were several comments related to they don't feel we have the need for either an amphitheater or a performing arts center, but if we did do one of them, they prefer something that was indoors, which is, as I understand it, not how City Council wants to go. But I think that the overall feeling was that we need to improve the things that we already have in town. That's kind of how I got it. And get them better support.
So if we were to make send a suggestion to the City Council, how would you sum that up?
I think that the people that responded to the survey mostly felt a need for better communications about the opportunities in the arts and culture, for arts and culture events in the city. They feel things aren't that well publicized. And that right now they don't see the need for either an amphitheater or a performing arts space when they have other things that are in more dire need.
Okay. So Matt, do you have any input on that?
I don't have anything to include, but the committee could seek that the chair meet with the council liaison to go over these results. And then that council liaison can present those to the city council if they so choose.
Okay. Right. Any more comments on it?
I guess, Samantha, I have a question for you, is as it relates to the amphitheater subcommittee, is this just information that they can take into account in the research or reporting that they do back to council?
Yes, yeah, I would take it as that. There's certainly another factoid of information to look at when they're bringing something back to council.
And then for their communications, I think that's interesting. I don't see that at the moment. Like it's something I would think by maybe as a committee we would want to evaluate of all the things that we want to take to city council, is that one of them? And at this point, I don't know if it's not going to take it for the city council.
Yeah, like I said, that was our number one thing we got out of it, but yeah. And we have to remember, we only have 60 respondents. For us, that's like 1/100% or 1/10%, so.
And I think that you know better than we do of how attendance is at all the events, but it seems like events are well attended in general when the city puts them on, and so it's like, we don't have data that no one's showing up at Cabrillo events or Casa Romantica events or city events.
Right, so,
So,
no comment?
for the record.
Okay, whatever.
So you might just want to make a motion and get a second to receive and file the survey results at this
I'll
point.
make a motion to receive and file the results.
I'll second. Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay? Aye. So item number 5, new business. Review of art on public property policy. Staff recommends that the Arts and Culture Committee provide initial input and recommendations for revisions to the art and public place policy. Comments?
So hopefully you've had a chance to review this. This is an existing policy that we've talked about that needs some updating. To include that there is no mention of the Arts and Culture Committee itself as part of that review. So at this point, I am looking for recommendations on how you'd like to see changes incorporated to it. I can take your comments this evening, put them back into the policy and bring it back to our next meeting for final review. I included some other ideas if you would like to consider additional input, including kind of what that formal role of this committee is. Do we want to modernize the policy at all by identifying any areas that are outdated, or maybe we're not filling gaps that need to be looked at? We certainly need to look at how we are encouraging equitable access, and I say that as, should part of the policy be that we look at art in, different areas of town at every so many feet, or that's just a completely raw example, but that's when we talk about equitable access, how often we see art and in what areas. I know right now a lot of our public art seems to be centered towards the downtown area, but maybe that needs to expand. We have a whole other side of the community that's east of the 5 freeway that doesn't have public art that could be looked at. And then the last component is that sustainability and maintenance. I think it's an undershadowed and understated component to the policy. We need to talk about what does maintenance look like. Once the city accepts public art, how does it get maintained? Right now, it really becomes the burden of the city, and I say burden as nicely as I can, but there is a maintenance cost to that. And so this, as the committee looks at this, is there a creative way that we can look at ongoing maintenance to be addressed, or is part of the policy and the agreement of public art that, okay, donor, we appreciate the donation, but we also need a 25% donation guarantee over the next life of the public art, or whatever. Again, those are all just hypothetical that I'm throwing out. So I kind of put those into 4 different buckets for the committee to think about. if we want to essentially beef up what we're looking at within the policy and give some more specific parameters.
Okay. With that, when you said expanding, it makes me think of like where I'm at, Harvard Estates. We don't have anything up there that even says the same committee besides the signs.
Right.
There's no art, nothing. But I'm sure there are other pockets as well. So when I say that, it makes me think about, when you think about the maintenance of the art, I have to think about the types of art. Let's say, a mobile versus a statue, type of maintenance. Because each different type of art will really require a certain amount of funding to maintain it. So I think that's something we should really kind of drill down on and niche down on if we are going to expand the types of art that we want to see, in the public comments.
Well, and I think, I happened to be walking down Del Mar the other day, and I saw a beautiful mural on the side of the building, and there's graffiti on it. So, to me, that's what I'm thinking of when we're talking about maintenance.
Yes.
What do we do about the graffiti, things like that are happening by people? I mean, they're man-made problems, not just a statue having birds
Right.
fly over it.
But they put graffiti on anything.
Yeah, they will.
Graffiti on that.
I'm thinking of, do we need a subcommittee that should go over this?
That's up to you guys, if you want to look through it, if you each have individual comments that you want to contribute, I can take note of those and bring it back, or
You know what, I was just, would it be a good idea if we took this, because someone's really drilled down on this yet, take it, review, compile your thoughts, and then bring it back at the next meeting, or
Sure.
over to you, in this paper?
absolutely.
I have a clarifying question. I think that's a good idea. So currently, the review process, the approval process on page 2 has it going to design review subcommittee and beaches, parks, and rec. Samantha, what is your ideal flow? And do you want us to just be one more step, or are you envisioning our committee to help take this over from one of those two bodies?
I think the Parks and Recreation Commission does not always need to be included. There's certain instances where public art, sure, if it's in a park and maybe it's speaking to the park activities, it does need to go there, but maybe it's considered on an as-needed basis. If it specifically pertains to park operations, if you will. Other than that, I mean, that commission is not necessarily looking at art in general. They're looking at uses of park spaces, design of park spaces, things like that. So that would be maybe more as needed. I think the Arts and Culture Committee probably should be the last stop before getting to the City Council.
And then on the other pain points, like the labeling or the dedication process, is there any area that you think is insufficient, or are those pretty much okay? Insurance requirements, things like that.
I think regarding the labeling, the plaque, one thing I've learned is we need to have a standard plaque size. And I realized it wasn't specific at the time of this policy because, a mural on the side of a large restroom building is dramatically different than a mural on a door. They're just different in scale. But I do think, and maybe it's not a specific size within the policy, but it needs to refer to the Arts and Culture Committee to make that determination. We've seen plaques get pretty large in certain circumstances that it can kind of overtake the rest of the building. So that's one thing I've seen. Other than that, I do think this document can be put into more of the standard city policy form. This is not a standard policy form. This is more of a process. Part of that policy can speak to kind of those finite goals of we'd like to see expanded art in these areas. And some of that will refer back to the general plan, which is something we can also look at because the general plan guides a lot of that as well.
I moved to form a subcommittee to consolidate our feedback to Samantha for this document.
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Yeah, who would want to go something?
I'm happy to be on it.
I'll be on it. It goes with our other one.
Okay, I vote.
And,
So this
She's
is-
happy and I.
Kathy?
Okay, perfect.
it's approved. And, also, I'm gonna make a motion that we, table our thoughts and comments for Kyle and then bring them back, or pass them on to Samantha for the next meeting, so we can, kind of have them today here and go over that.
Yeah.
Yeah? All in favor?
I need a
Second.
Okay, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Motion is approved to compile the thoughts on this item and then bring it back for that next meeting. Line item number 6, staff comments.
Just real quick, it looks like we might have missed number 4.
No, open. Number 4, open.
That was the survey.
Our survey, we did that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm seeing, oh, no, sorry, I was looking at the minutes.
Okay. Line item number 6, staff that have any comments.
None this evening.
Okay. Line item number 7, items from committee members, subcommittee arts, exhibits and displays. Let's see. Well, we did that. That was, during the display at the show was fantastic. The awards, it's pretty cool. That's what I can say. That was it. Not all I said. It was a hit.
I'll just add that gingerbread art was unexpected and unexpected seasonal delight.
Yes.
Invitation.
Were you
It was really-
judged for that?
It was really fun to get to do that.
It was very fun, thank you.
Yeah.
And then, our section line on beach subcommittee, concert series and events.
We'll be meeting with the Recreation Division tomorrow about the upcoming summer concert series.
Amphitheater and performing arts facility.
Do you want to cover that, or you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, we met with
Chris Duncan?
with Chris Duncan about it and got a lot of it, great information. Samantha was there as well.
Okay.
Kind of pointed us in a good direction and kind of knew what the thoughts were of the city council and what their expectations are. And I don't know what else.
I think the big takeaway we got from it is the city does not have the funds to pay for anything. And so more or less the job of the committee is to go out and try and find funding, support someone who might want something named after them. So Chris gave us a couple names and a couple suggestions.
Okay.
And so we're going to have to look into them. He was supposed to send us a name of somebody, but I don't know that we ever got it. That was really close to the election.
Yeah,
So we may want to almost start over with our new liaison.
we're kind of looking at a philanthropic situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious if either staff or committee members have ever been in touch with the Stonance Foundation.
That's
Yes,
one
me
that's on
either.
our list.
Mhm.
I'd be interested in showcasing their speaker systems.
Scott is a very hard guy to get a hold of. He's really busy, but I have a meeting with his assistant this Thursday. So it's been a process, but taking that one step at a time.
Any more comments? Line item D, mission and vision.
These have covered our report already.
E, subcommittee, utility box art program. Yeah, I would do
Good on this here.
it.
Should I give an update? we got the update that city council unanimously approved our proposal. Thank you for sharing that, and the one kind of request was to not have an age limit on the eligibility of the artists submitting proposals so that it's able to include youth art. And then from there forward, it sounds like the next steps are for us to reconvene and kind of now look at the actual timeline for implementation of the program and the call for proposals and the announcement of the program in order to secure funding for the utility boxes.
Then we come up with a theme, and then I think it was gonna,
There's not one theme. There's like a menu that includes themes that circle back to our mission, the mission statement that we agreed on. So it's they're in the proposal.
And did, this question is for Samantha. We had talked about how we were going to compensate the artists for doing it. Do we have any updates on that?
Amanda, I think, so the subcommittee has some nonprofit organizations that are interested in committing to at least the first round, the first phase, and they would be compensated through that donation.
Okay.
And that amount was written up in the proposal.
Yeah. I think it was $1,000 per box.
yeah. Any more comments on it?
So I think maybe, do we need to move for the next step that the committee convenes to hammer out the details for implementation?
Okay.
That requires a motion.
Yeah, no, it doesn't need a motion. So that subcommittee can continue to meet as it is. I want to go back, the mission and vision, if this committee feels like that subcommittee is no longer needed, you could decide that committee, it can be sunsetted and no longer needs to convene. You don't have to do that now, but you could do that at your next meeting.
I might move to do it now, I mean, unless someone doesn't want to, but we're all here. Except for Jackie, but I think we should.
It's okay.
For the
Yeah, you
utility
guys-
box program?
No, the
No,
mission vision.
mission.
Oh, okay.
Mission vision.
Yeah.
I can make a motion that we sunset the mission vision.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed? Nays? Then it's approved. Sunset that.
Subcommittee is no longer necessary.
We can be efficient.
so what's the next step for the utility box program in terms of the call to action and getting it out there and marketing it?
So we'll need, I'll need to work directly with the nonprofit that's interested in committing those funds. Once we have that secured and that kind of agreement understood, then staff can meet with the subcommittee to formalize the call for art and kind of fine tune what the locations are. There was a list of about 10 or 12 locations that were priority, but based on the funding that we get, we might have to pare that back by starting with four or five. And then we would do a public call for art. There would be a press release. We would be doing some social media. And then I believe part of that is the subcommittee would look at applications at first pass with the donor organization, and then the recommendation would come to the full committee. As these are the recommendations, you would be able to see other applications if needed, but the subcommittee would make the formal recommendation to the committee on these are our 5 locations, we have 10 applications, we're recommending these 5.
Also, I remember that these were starting in phases. Do we remember which phase that this will be starting in? Because last year it ended in a phase and then we were going to get in a new phase.
Yeah, we're basically starting from phase 1 at this point. There's been such a gap and pause in the program that many of the old boxes have been removed because they were just normal wear and tear. It's been a decade or so. So the subcommittee has worked pretty closely on figuring out which boxes are the most prominent in location, and that was how the list was determined. Kind of that T-zone, El Camino Real area into Del Mar. Those were prioritized. And there's quite a few of them, but some of them are more obvious than others.
Samantha, I mean, I know we have the Historical Society and the Women's Club that have kind of proactively indicated interest. Are you thinking that you want to, move forward with that, with those 2 nonprofits, speaking specifically with them, or would there be any reason to, make the announcement, kind of have a call for sponsors, actually be the first public announcement, so that we know how many boxes would be sponsored, and even if we didn't do them all in phase one, like allowing other organizations to come forward.
I think if you want to move the project quickly, you go with the donors that you have. And if that's 2 donors, and I don't know how much either of them are willing to commit at this point, but you start with that and you do that call for art. And part of your call for art is also attached to a call for sponsors for future phases.
If I have other parties interested in donating, should I send them your way or should I wait?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you can send them now if they're ready and willing. I don't want to delay it by us trying to gather more sponsors. I'd rather do this kind of on a rolling basis. And it could be that, again, if we have 10 boxes and we receive 20 applications, we can hold on to those 10 that aren't selected, and they can be included in future considerations. We do that with the Wall of Recognition, so nominations, if you will, are included for 2 years after, just to kind of have carryover, and maybe art that didn't work the first time could work around the second time.
Nicholas, the proposal, if you want it electronically, let me know, I can send it.
Oh, yeah,
Even though
absolutely.
it doesn't have final dates and everything, I think
Right.
it might be sufficient to show an interested.
Yeah, if you don't mind, that's great. Thanks.
Any more comments, sir? Oh, I did have one question. Because we're going to do this in phases, how would the subcommittee, how would the Arts and Culture Committee be aware of the phases as they transpire? Like when one phase ends and we know we're going to the next phase, so we have an idea of the progress.
We can give those updates at these meetings. It's going to be pretty clear that the projects are complete, that this phase is done, and when funding becomes available, we would look at going into the next phase after that.
So I thought that would be pretty neat for us, kind of like to know. Then hey, go look at it.
Sure.
Thank you. Future, line item 7F, future agenda items. Are there any? None? Okay. If there are no further line items and sub items, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is that okay?
Second the motion?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.